Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I wanted to talk about my most recent build, the Simplecore, and fittingly it also won the poll for what people wanted to see the most. So today I'm going to just give an overview on the build, talk about some pros and cons, some things I liked, some things I didn't like, and then in future videos we're going to do some upgrades and hopefully rectify those things that I don't like about the build. So here is the printer in all of its glory. It is massive. These extrusions here, these cross extrusions, are 500 millimeters. So this guy has a bigger footprint than something like a Voron 350 mil, for example. Towers over the Trident, and the V0 is so cute in comparison. So overall, I really like the printer. It's not the fastest, it's not the biggest, it's not the anythingest really, but it's a nice, fun, simple machine that you can build quite easily. So let's talk about the pros. And the biggest pro of this machine is overall the fact that it's just so simple. So I built mine over the course of 2 days, but I worked at a very, very leisurely pace. Setting things up like the firmware took a little bit longer, but I'm just talking about the physical build here. What goes along with that is that the frame of this machine is so simple in comparison to, again, other printers. I don't mean to pick on the Vorons, but I'm sort of surrounded by them here. The fact that you only use, in this case for the 330 build, you only use just 16 of these 500 mil extrusions and then these little corner brackets here and then some extra plates for rigidity. It's very, very simple and very, very modular, which is great if you have, say, you already have a bed laying around that's an odd sized, I don't know, 280 by 280 or something. It's very easy to just buy extrusions to match and you can get the full size of whatever bed you have. In this case, with the 330, this frame is oversized quite a bit. There's like 280 of travel, I think, on the y-axis. So you could have a bigger bed if you wanted to. In my case, I'm going to use it for things like a nozzle brush, purge bucket, you know, little things off to the side like that, and I'll have plenty of space to do it all, which is really nice. Another advantage of this design is the very low filament cost in terms of printing all the parts. So I printed all the parts for this entire build in under 40 hours on my Voron, and it used less than a full kilogram of filament. Obviously I did 2 different colors here, but in total my filament usage was under 1,000 grams, which is really, really nice. Another advantage when it comes to modularity is the fact that this printer uses the EVA carriage, and the EVA carriage has been used on the rat rig printers for a long time, and as such there's already a wealth of user mods and other crazy stuff people have done to them that you can just import and just use right away on your Simplecore. So if you wanted to run, you know, CPAP, quick draw probe, beacon, whatever, you can do it, no big deal. The way the printer is constructed means it's really easy to make mods for. It's just, again, it's so simple, there's plenty of frame space to mount stuff, and it's really easy to create whatever you want in the CAD file. I have a couple of mods coming up, but the main modder so far has been Ein on the Discord server. I'm using his bed brackets here. These guys have teeth on the other side to grip the belts, which makes the Z assembly much, much easier, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. He also has a purge bucket mod, and now has a geared Z-axis, so with a gear reduction, as well as tensioners for the Z-axis idlers. And I will be doing all of those mods as soon as I get the chance, because they're all awesome. Another advantage of the Simplecore over some other printers is the fact that it does have a, I know it's hard to see because it's very dark here, but it does have a triple independent belted Z. So you get all the nice Z-axis tramming that, again, you would with something like a Voron, but because of the belted Z, you have no lead screw wobble, and it is dead silent when it is moving, which is really nice. And finally, the last major pro of this machine in my mind is that it is actually easily enclosable. These rails on the side here are MGN 9s, and nothing here actually extends outside of the frame, as you can see. So just like if you were doing it on a Voron for say, I know, mentioning Voron again, but all you'd have to do is take some foam tape and put it around the edges and then just mount your panel, and it would work really, really easily. In fact, a lot of the Simplecores that we see on the Rollahan server are enclosed, and it seems to be working out very well for the people who have done it. In my case, this guy is just way too big. I'm not going to make it any bigger by chucking panels on it, so this is going to be a PLA only printer for myself. So those are some of the pros, and now we're going to talk about some of the cons. So a big one for someone like me is the fact that this machine is relatively slow. You're not going to be going very fast just due to the way it's designed. It's not built for speed, especially in my case. I mean, I have a 500mm 2020, 500mm MGN12 rail. I'm sure the moving mass of the y-axis is like 2 kilograms. I did some speed tests. I could get up to like 5K Excel, 2 to 300 millimeters a second, so for travel moves and the likes. But yeah, it doesn't really handle it all too well. Another disadvantage for if you are new to building printers is that there is no build manual or build guide for this printer. So all you have is the CAD model and then asking questions on the Rolahan server. I could see this deterring many a new builder from trying something like this because of the lack of manual. But again, given the simplicity of the machine, it's really, really not too bad. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Over here I have some of the parts ready for a brand new Simplecore build, and I will try to record as much of it as possible so we can have a de facto build guide for people who are interested. But that is a while away. I got some other things to deal with first. Another issue I have with this design is the way that belts are aligned. So as you can see, we have idlers at the back, motor mounts at the front, and then obviously the actual y-axis in here. The old design had these things bolt to this 2020. They would be up against this 2020, and as such, they were always perfectly aligned. In the newer revisions, they no longer do that, and they just mount to the sides. So now you have to take the time and make sure that you keep the belts level as they're going across. It's not really a big deal, but it does feel sort of like a step backwards from the previous design, and I'm not really sure why Rollo did that. It would be pretty easy to just, again, make a mod and just keep these guys at the same level, but it just seemed like a weird choice for me, and something I wanted to talk about. In the same vein, the way the belts are run on the z-axis is a surefire way to cause pain and suffering if they are cut ever so slightly too short. Now, the way these mount is that they are essentially held in with teeth, in the case of Ein's mod, to the linear rail block itself. So they just basically get squished up in there. Now, in Ein's mounts, there are provisions, and I apologize, this is very hard to see, but there are provisions for you to pull that excess belt out through the middle of the mount, like so. And let me tell you, you are really, really, really going to want to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be playing this weird game of trying to get both belt ends snug on there while tensioning the belt and trying to screw the thing on, and it's gonna be painful. So don't try it. Please don't cut your belts short. My belts were cut short. As a result, I spent like an hour and a half trying to get the stupid things on. So don't do that. The last thing I have to talk about as a con is the fact that end stop mounting is kind of an afterthought on this machine. So I'm improperly using one of the EVA end stop mounts, as you can see. So these are the ones that are designed to have just the micro switch screwed in with like self-tapping screws. I'm reusing Creality end stops here, so I just glued it onto it and then made this this piece here. There's a very similar piece on the GitHub, but I made mine a little bit taller, a little bit longer, just so it would hit at a better spot. And for the y-axis, I have my end stop very simply just hot glued to the top of the idlers, but to make it fit, I had to put the screw that actually holds everything together on the idlers in, and I apologize, that's very dark. I had to put the screw in upside down, which is a little weird. So on the CAD, there's nothing at all regarding end stops, so you're sort of left to choose your own adventure in that regard. That's what I came up with. Feel free to copy it if you want, and copy what other people have done, but it would have been nice if there was more official, more proper end stop mounts in the CAD. But that is all I have for cons. So overall, a pretty good machine, just could use a little tweaking, and that's what I intend to do in the future when I start modding this guy. I don't want to give away too much regarding the modding, but I will say that we are not going to be doing any weight reduction because MGN9s are expensive, and I have yet to find a custom-made carbon fiber tube that could actually work with this length, and I really don't feel like cutting one myself. So rather than focusing on lightweight, we're going to be going for high rigidity and balancing things out that way. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, thank you for bearing with me, and I will see you guys in the next video.